the state, in good standing with the Gambling Commission for the last 27 years. I'm here to testify in opposition to this bill as well, too. I find it actually quite atrocious that the Gambling Commission would retaliate in this manner after losing in court. And then come to and have a bill drop with no fiscal note, by the way, that was introduced later, I believe, and still has essentially no impact as well. The Gambling Commission seems like they're taking rather a total enforcement prohibition action rather than anything in the regulatory manner in this instance. And I'm quite familiar with that. We've been at odds with them for the last 5 years over an issue that some of you may or may not be familiar with. So I'm not sure why we're wasting more of the state's taxpayers' time and money on an issue such as this when it truly isn't a gambling issue to begin with, as obviously was determined by the courts. That's all I have to say. Thank you.
Mr. Chairman and members of the committee, my name is Joan Mell. I'm an attorney. I practice in Tacoma, Washington. My practice focuses primarily on individuals and businesses who interface with government. I'm an attorney who did recommend to the Gambling Commission that the language proposed in this definition creates serious legal concerns and creates an opportunity for litigation over the definition of gambling. The terms conditional and unconditional, used a couple times added to the definition of gambling, are undefined in the statute and really are without any clear meaning. The response has been that the conditional versus unconditional somehow means welching, but that's certainly not defined in the statute. And the argument that somehow there is a provision in statute that says sweepstakes are authorized and can be conditional or unconditional, therefore they're not gambling, and wouldn't be affected by this change in the definition of gambling, defies the position of the courts in that you can't segregate out two different parts of the Gambling Act and say the definition of gambling doesn't affect what other authorizations there are in the statute. They've in fact lost on that argument. They lost in betcha4of4, and they've lost on that argument in other situations. So I would really caution you and urge you not to amend using that terminology. The second issue is simply on fiscal impact. I think it's procedurally an error for the Ways and Means Committee to hear a bill after cutoff with no fiscal impact at the sponsorship of Senator Prentice, and then proceed to move forward with a matter that truly should be given meaningful consideration in terms of the benefits of regulating an activity such as this. There's no reference in the fiscal note to the kind of revenue that can be generated, taxed, and used to the public benefit. And there should be some study of the benefits. If this committee could get its arms around how to embrace this component of internet gambling, if you want to call it that, you would see a great opportunity to regulate rather than prohibit, which is really consistent with the policy shift in '74.
There is a bill I should point out here in finance that deals with may deal with this. I'm not completely, I mean, you know the bill I'm talking about. It is a bill in finance that looks at whole taxation of digital goods. And so I will chat with Chair Hunter about this.
Why limit your opportunities? Thank you.
Thank you. Ezra Eichmeyer with betcha4of4. Let me just recap the experience here. 3 of the people who are up here have been in jail over this. Their office has been raided, computers have been seized, 3 people have been extradited to Louisiana prison. The company had to pay a lot of money to get out. The Louisiana laws also were not accurately interpreted when that action was taken in that state. These few people have gone through a lot. The court action...
I don't want to get into all the... we're really looking at the bill, so please keep your comments.
Okay. I guess I'll just summarize by saying that we are completely open during the interim to having discussions with the commission about whether or not this business model needs regulating, but to come forward right now to try to prohibit it when there's a court action and process is completely inappropriate. So.
I must say, I've been here for some time. There's another bill actually that made its way all the way to the floor of the House, which was dealing with a court case that was called brokered natural gas, right? So it's hardly unusual for the legislature not to get itself swept in often into court proceedings. And frankly, that's why we have kind of a separation of power doctrine in this country. Yes, Representative Dodger. I guess my question is, in your business model, I assume you have a business model, you have investors, sounds like you put together a portfolio.
That's right.
Where did you see your biggest amount of revenue being generated around what kind of, we can't call this gambling, but what kind of wagering did you see your largest type of revenue stream?
I would suspect that it would be split between politics and movies and sports.
Sports. So it is in those arenas that you felt that probably your best customer base would be.
I would have, it's pure conjecture at this point. Wherever my revenues came from, and I think I know where you're going, this is sports gambling. It still isn't gambling. There was a theory, a school of thought that said most of the betting will come from random stuff, like the over-under on the vote on 6103. As long as there was one person to offer it and one person to accept it on those terms, and that they could agree to the terms, they would wager on it. For all I know, it would end up being 80-20. I have no idea. We were open for 13 days, total of 30 days, before I found myself in shackles. For something that the court said the essence of gambling is absent. The essence. This is not an ambiguous term.
Have any other states or have any other, do you see this type of gambling or wagering, I'll use that word, in any other kind of state, any other state?
It's in England. England is where the big player is.
Well,
as far as what other states.
I think when you were in my office, Nick, England allows interstate. Is that true?
Interstate, they don't have states.
I'm sorry.
Yeah.
England allows internet gambling.
Right, they allow internet gambling, and as I told you, it's only a matter of time before the feds legalize this. Barney Frank has a bill to be introduced any minute now, because it is such an obvious source of massive tax revenue. You're going to pass this bill, someone's going to steal my idea in California, and all the jobs and tax revenue are going to go to the guy in California. And they're going to be laughing. We got a great assist from the folks in the Washington legislature who tailored a law around the very business idea that we stole. I don't know that that's ever happened in history. And I asked you that when we met last. Have you thought of any state ever passing a law specifically tailored to put one company and one company only out of business? I've thought, I've looked, I can't find it.
I really think the major concern here is internet gambling and the law that's on the books regarding internet gambling.
I couldn't agree more.
And I think the issue here is that you have found, you've introduced a type of wagering through using mechanisms utilized in eBay, and I mean that hasn't really come up in the testimony here, that allows folks to welch, I guess is the word, on their bet. But you actually have a rating system there of people who are betting so that you know who you're betting against. So if they are welchers, so you probably wouldn't bet against them. It's very innovative.
I don't think that's what's going to happen. God willing, if we ever see the light of day again, you're going to have different markets, just as you have in banking. You're going to have good bettors betting against good bettors. You're going to have bad bettors betting against bad bettors, just like you have in the banking system.
Right.
Same exact thing.
Well, I presume your concern about the lack of a hearing in the Senate does not apply to the House.
It does not. Thank you very much for giving me that.
And with that, that completes our testimony on Senate Bill 1603. We're now going into executive session. I'm going to bring there's